Today I want to talk about something that I don't normally cover, and that is K-pop. I really feel like this is Eat Your Kimchi's thing, so if you guys really love K-pop, I mean, by far, go visit them. They know a lot more about this than me. But I have been to a few K-pop concerts. I went to the Incheon K-pop concert 2013. I actually went last year too, and I've had really great experiences both times. I got my tickets through Community Korea. They're this group, and they do like raffles and stuff every once in a while. So I subscribe to them, and every once in a while I'll try and sign up and be like, please send me. And they have. And I never really do reviews of them because I don't really know what to say. I went there, I watched the K-pop groups they did, they sang, it was great. This is gonna be my highlights. I can't talk about every group. There's a lot of groups, 2 hours long. I was seated on the ground level, so I was actually pretty close, not as close as I was last year. Last year I was up against the barricades, which was insane and awesome. Let's go into it. So the first group that performed was FT Island, and I've never actually seen them in concert. I was really happy to see them because they did a great job. They're the only group that plays their own instruments. And the only thing, I don't really know much about them. I've heard a few of their songs and I like them in general, but I don't know much about them. I think the lead singer has a fantastic voice. He was totally into the music. You could see it on his face. He was really into it. And I think that kind of set off a really good tone for the rest of the concert. I'm really glad that they opened with them because it was pretty interesting to see that. The next group that I remember most is BTOB, and I love at the beginning of their song they're like BTOB, and it's hard for me to hear them, but in general I'm not a huge K-pop fan, but I always recognize them because they always do that one song, I think it's called Wow, where they towards the middle they're like Fantastic S-Line, and they all turn around and like rub their butts. For some reason, every time I see them do that, it just makes me giggle. I just think it's hilarious. I love that they can laugh at themselves like that. They're all pretty handsome bunch. I actually didn't realize how cute they were. And of course, you got like lots of crazy color. Next group, BAP. The two girls emceeing were two of the girls from Girls' Generation, and they actually had to stall while the backstage crew set up for BAP. That's the only group that had to have a moment to set up, and that's because they came out blazing. A lot of their music is really like rough and tumble and hard press and like gangster. And they really brought it to a whole nother level, considering like special effects and just the presentation. I would say in general that BAP's presentation was hands down the best. They had fire, they had smoke. It really made for a good experience, and it worked really well with their songs considering how like hardcore their songs are. Next group, EXO. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I have a bias towards EXO. I like them. They performed two songs. They performed Growl and Wolf. I will say that in person, I actually did kind of like Wolf, but I've never liked that song. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think it's a terrible song. But they opened with Growl. I love Growl. I think it's a fantastic song. I was immediately hooked first time I saw it. And I loved seeing them perform together. They've got about 12 members. It's a lot of people going on. The way the stage was set up, they have a backstage, a little like island a little walkway, pathway, and then there's an island. And they really utilized the stage. I didn't even notice, they performed their bit, that EXO-K was in the back, and then all of a sudden they switched to the front and there was EXO-M, and I was, I guess I was just so focused on EXO on the back I didn't notice the front. They did a great job. They did a great job. Their dances are spot on. These guys are one of the best dance groups in my opinion. Because they have so many members, they really use shapes and very cool things in their dances, so it's really fun to watch, and it is pretty mesmerizing. I would also say that in general, I've seen EXO multiple times in concert, and the reaction from the fan base this time was insane. I mean, for a second I thought that Infinite or Beast was on stage because I've never heard that kind of response for EXO before. All the girls behind me, most of the girls were behind me, and all of them just lost their shit. Like, everybody was standing up and I couldn't see, which was frustrating, and then I stood up, which made me feel guilty because I'm a monster and everybody behind me won't be able to see if I stand up. But I had to see my band. Like, I'm sorry, I had to see my band. For my little sister, I had to see my band. She's like an exotic or whatever they're called. So in general, I would have to say that EXO is probably my favorite performance. I know some people think that they're overrated. I love them to death. I think they're great, and I really, really hope that they go far. Zia, or Z-E-A? I don't know pretty much anything about this group. I don't know any of their songs, but I did notice something, and I think it is noteworthy, and that is that a couple of their members are phenomenally good at making love to the camera. Especially one of their main singers. I've got no idea what his name is. But they kept panning into him, and it's like every time he noticed that the camera was pointed at him, he would look at the camera and he would smile. And it's just like, I could feel the girls behind me just swooning into oblivion. This guy, I've never seen any K-pop star be able to do that quite so efficiently. So I will say that I remembered them solely because they were so charismatic and so good at just making sweet, gooey eye love to the camera. Teen Top, next group. I actually know them, which is one of the reasons why I'm mentioning them. I noticed once again the pastel hair thing going on. In general, I kind of like Teen Top. I will admit that Don't Spray Perfume is one of my guilty pleasure songs. They have this song out right now called Miss Right, and they performed it at the concert, and I really like it. But I just don't know how I feel about the dance for this one, because their hand gesture, they do like this. And to me, every time I see that, I'm not seeing this, I'm seeing... I just don't like their dance for that one. So every time I see that dance, live or on video, I just feel a little weird inside. I don't know, maybe I'm just perverted. Miss A. I really like Miss A, and it's interesting because seeing them live, pretty much all the groups had backup dancers, and Miss A didn't, which actually kind of made them stand apart in my opinion, because it's only 4 girls on stage, so you really do focus more on them as opposed to the backup dancers, who are oftentimes more of a distraction to me than anything else. And I find that in general, I like Miss A because each girl has a different look, especially in her face, but also like their dance styles and their movements. I really like their collective feel of Miss A. So they performed a couple of songs. I think they did a great job, especially since there was only 4 of them. No special effects, no smoke, no fire, nothing, which a lot of the other groups had going on. And yet, I was still really mesmerized by the performance. I just love the charisma that they give off somehow. It's hard to explain. But in person, they give off a lot. They have a lot of personality and a lot of charisma, and I think it really showed in their performance. The last group that I want to talk about is Girls' Generation. Girls' Generation, they've got a lot of members, obviously. They performed I Got a Boy, of course, which I am starting to get a little tired of, I will admit. I did like it at first, but I do feel like it's kind of disjointed, like an entirely different song, which is probably one of the reasons why I have a problem with Wolf as well. I don't like it when songs have so much of a difference between the chorus and the verse that it sounds like 2 completely different songs. But it has grown on me. I do like it. I would say in general, they give off a really good performance. I'm not gonna lie. I love the dance for I've Got a Boy. It's really fun to watch live. And in general, Girls' Generation uses their numbers to their advantage. They try to use up the stage. They give you lots to look at one point in time, and I did enjoy the performance. They also performed Dancing Queen though, and I will admit that, quite frankly, y'all, I don't like that song. Like, I like Mercy, which is like the original song, and I don't know the history behind Dancing Queen for them, but the eggyo going on in that song, y'all, it's just too much. Especially to perform it right next to I've Got a Boy, which has such like a powerful kind of dance, and I don't know, I feel like it's just not right somehow. I just don't like those 2 songs together. In general, I kind of wish that Dancing Queen just didn't exist. So they performed Dancing Queen second, and I was kind of like, it was just too much, y'all. It was just too much eggyo. The whole, no, they're too old for this. And they're not old people, but they're too old for that kind of shenanigans. Alright, so that was it. In general, I had a great time at the concert. I definitely suggest for any foreigner who comes to Korea with any interest in K-pop to definitely go. I think it's not very interactive. You kind of sit back and while they have lots of fan groups and they're very interactive, if you're not actually in a fan group, it's not that interactive for you. It's kind of like a passive concert. But in general, I have great experiences pretty much every time I go to one of these. I've been to about 4 now, and I do suggest it. I think it's something that everybody should do. You know, check it off your Korean bucket list, if you will. If you were there or if you've seen video footage, I'd love to think of what you guys think about K-pop stars and who's your favorite band, and if you've seen the footage, who you think did the best performance-wise at the Incheon concert. So put that in the comments below, and I will see y'all next time.